Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Krubsack, author and recipe curator of The Pale Pickle.
And my name is Nhi Poss. I am the illustrator of the Pale Pickle.
So we're bringing to you this amazing project, which is a paired children's book and cookbook about healthy eating, cooking recipes at home, urban gardening, composting, and bringing wellness to your community. So we want to share a little bit about why we did this project. Did you know that a lot of food on shelves today contain dyes and other chemicals? So actually, this was brought to my attention when I developed adult allergies and I had a reaction to yellow dyes in foods. I started to do more research, reading labels, and I realized that this dye is found in pickles, in kids' fruit snacks, and later finding out that the effects of this dye on behavior of children can change that, especially if they have ADHD and things like that. So it was kind of scary that this is in the foods, and wanted to highlight that this is a problem and that we should really be consuming natural foods without these added chemicals.
So did you know that in addition to food, there are chemicals that found in children's book from these color inks that actually contain petroleum? Even though soy-based inks are better because they are biodegradable, not all of them are actually healthy.
Yeah, so it's interesting that petroleum contains carcinogens and soy-based is better, that it's plant-based and it can be compostable and go back into the earth. But there are very few printing companies that have certifications for this. For example, Cradle to Cradle certified printing companies. So once we realized what is being printed in these books, we felt like there's no going back. We have to do this exactly the right way. It needs to be very healthy in the cradle to cradle terminology, where the full life cycle of the product, that it's healthy for person and planet, it's not harming the environment, it's not going to harm you for touching these inks, that it can be fully compostable and go back into the earth, because all of the materials have been tested for chemicals and things like that. So we really felt that we wanted to print this way.
Yes, and this is like what made me really interested in this project, working with Stephanie, is that when you're going through all of this information, you realize that we can't just talk and we can't just state the fact and not acting on it. This is why we think that printing this, like Stephanie said, the right way will not only just raise awareness to the community, to everybody around us, but it's also is a benefit and our goal to actually making some impact, even though it's small. That doesn't matter how small it is, to the printing industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hope that this creates an effect that more companies want to get this certification in print in this manner that is safe for kids and families. So we hope that with your support we can get this book into the hands of as many individuals as possible.
So we came together for this project to promote the book, and I just want to go into a little bit of the background, how we met and how we started this project together. I am initially a graphic designer, and last year, 2 years ago, I wanted to explore a little bit on the illustration side, especially children's book. To start my illustration journey, I actually submit some artwork for Stephanie magazine at that time. We worked together on these postcards, and they are what bring us together on this project. And as the more we work together, that is when we started to want to collaborate on this children's book project.
So Nhi submitted some of her artwork for a magazine I was running, so that's how we first met, and I really fell in love with her style of the artwork that she did. And I've done some designs, but it's not really my forte. I enjoy more the writing part. And after I first wrote The Pale Pickle, my mom and I were drawing sketches of what we imagined Pip, the main character, to look like. And after seeing your artwork, I said, I need your help to make this come to life. So it was amazing how, using the sketches, that you brought it to life, and not only that, your background and expertise and your ideas, we worked together. So it was great to see that the book evolves, actually, with both of our ideas, and it turned into something really special.
Yeah, and during the process of working on these illustration and knowing the story, it's get me to start thinking about how I've been acting in my role as a person living on this planet, like how you can make the environment better. Like you never notice these little stuff that actually have such an impact to the environment, and how some of your small action to actually improve the environment where you live in. And during my time illustrating all of the characters, all of the story, the tips, the tricks, the food, I fall in love with the Pale Pickles. During the process of working on this book, I myself have learned a lot, and there's a lot of information about the food industry, the printing industry that make me be more aware of what I'm doing, the environment around me, the food I'm consuming, and hopefully through the Pale Pickle book, we're not only showing you our passion to improve the community, but also hopefully making a positive impact to the printing industry and the environment around us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting how the project started, where I wrote this story, 4 years ago now I think it was, and it was primarily about healthy food. So making sure you have organic food, you were cooking at home, you were not using or buying products that had chemicals in it. Yellow dye, for example, is in a lot of food today. So it started as this children's book and paired healthy cookbook, and it really evolved into so much more. So when we had the book completed, so we worked together to create this amazing project where it's beautiful illustration. It really evolved into sharing how kids can be more understanding of others' differences is a really huge part of this book, where it's about Pip, the character, moves to a new town and is surrounded by new children, and showing that children come from a place of curiosity and not about creating any negativity, because Pip maybe did something different coming from Organic Valley. Moving to a city is very challenging for kids. So talking about that dynamic, coming from a family that did organic farming, Pip brought in lunches from home. So really interesting to see that dynamic and how Pip encouraged classmates to maybe try the food brought from home and learn about what the family did in composting, cooking together. So looking at that dynamic, and then once we finished the book, we're like, okay, we have to print this now, and researching and learning. So the chemicals in food, but then in printing too, because our skin is our largest organ, and sometimes we forget that what we touch, we're also absorbing, even if we're not eating it. So kind of learning that a lot of inks are petroleum-based, and you're touching it, maybe you're using the cookbook, and you're cooking, you're flipping through the pages, you want to ensure that that's healthy. And this evolved into sustainable printing too, that's healthy ink. So it's been really a fun project to learn that the passion for wellness and environmentalism and composting, but then more that we learned these additional facts, and we realized we had to do this the correct way.
And with this book, we're not just wanting to create awareness to the parents, but also the children, where we can create, a world where we can, reduce the negative impact on the environment to the world that our children will living in, the future world that where you holding this book, you reading this book, you're not just learning about the story, you're not just learning about how you can make the environment better, but you also holding something that actually good for you, good for your body, good for your environment, and not just something that in the book, not just something that being said but not being done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want this the Pale Pickle, we envision to be this amazing book and cookbook that kids and families and friends can enjoy together and learn from, and start to practice healthy habits for themselves and for the environment around them. So kind of a dual purpose, so health for person and planet. So we're really excited to share that. I think one thing I wanted to be really conscious of when writing the book is Pip. I wanted to be a character relatable to any child. So the goal was to keep Pip gender neutral, that whether he or she, that Pip is a character that anybody could resonate with and feel connected to, and that Pip was representing what we hope a open-minded child that is taught to value people around them and the environment and value good principles, healthy eating, things like that, could relate to. And I know a lot of times in researching, how you structure your outline of a book, that you need to have this antagonist or the bad character or this conflict. And I really didn't want to do that because being a child that moved quite a bit and, bullying and things happen, to realize that if children are encouraged to be more accepting and just curious, that can be a positive thing and not a negative thing. For example, in the book, when Pip moves to a new city and maybe does things differently than the other classmates, that's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing. It's a place of curiosity where you can share what you do so others can learn. So I really wanted to structure the book that way, where it could be a positive thing, that change is good. It can be difficult sometimes, and wanting to make this or show this process of moving to a new place, making new friends, trying to help improve the community where you move to is very possible to do in a positive way.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that's also made me really fall in love with the idea of the book, is that, Pip growing up in this environment where Pip parents are very supportive, where he can just accept himself, and even when he moved to a different environment, he was able to share that uniqueness about himself to other people, sharing everything he has learned from his parents back in his hometown, and bring this new and good idea to sharing to his friends. I just love the idea of Pip's family moved to a new place, but Pip was able to accept himself, to share that uniqueness to the new community, the new friend that Pip has. And that touched a lot of value to me while working on this book. And with me also moving from like half the globe from here and coming to like a completely new country, living on my own, trying to figure everything out, and it's really resonate with me. Like, being different, you are in a different country, you interact with different people from every other country, and you realize your cultural differences, your environmental differences, and illustrating this book give me the sense of like, you are you, and is it totally okay, to be different, to trying to share these differences to other people and having them understand and accept you as an individual is a really, really good value that I found in this book.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because not that you might not face resistance. I think as long as you stay positive and encouraging, just to share what you're doing positively, that other people might be curious, like, oh, what are you eating? What are you doing? And really, yeah, you're trying to show that in the book, that, we come from different backgrounds. I think that's part of why it was such a great project, that, we come from different countries, we came from different backgrounds. It's so cool that you have your great ideas and your experiences, I have mine, and it was really fun to come together. And yeah, maybe it's a representation of the book too, and Pip coming from a different area, although it was from a small town to a city, but just to showcase that it maybe took some persistence of him to be encouraging and positive with his family, to create positive change in his new community, that eventually everybody became open-minded to it, and it really made everybody healthier in the community and helped them instill really healthy practices. So
yeah, and we're really, really excited to bring you this project, because hopefully with this book, it's not just about the environment we care about, but also the children that we actually care about. For the parents to provide that, not just a healthier environment for children to grow in, but also a very supportive environment where the children can feel that they can be the best version of themselves.
That's a great point, because a part of the book talks about your own creativity, where the children got to work on a project and instill their ideas into the community, which is so great to really encourage and highlight that. So one question I wanted to ask you, Nhi, what made you get interested in becoming an illustrator, and children's books specifically?
So it started during the pandemic, and I started to realize I have more time on my hand right now with working from home and with the benefit of not having to commute to work. So I took that advantage and started to, explore a little bit of, what I can do with my hobby as, drawing, illustrating. So it started with just simple illustration and submitting my artwork so that people can see my work, just for fun, not really thinking of a lot of things. But then I realized the benefit of, how illustration can narrate this story, this idea that not just appealing to kids but also to parents. So it's basically, if you use it right, it's a tool that if you use it right, you can help convey your idea, your message, and maybe making an impact to your surrounding. When we were working on this cookbook, I heard that you and your mom keep working together on the recipe and refining it. How was that experience? How was that connect you to the childhood? Did you cook with your mom back when you was little, and how was that create this connection between you and your mom?
Yeah, so we grew up in a family where we always had homemade items from our garden, so organic gardening, so I'd always help my mom with that, and she did a lot of canning. So the favorite family recipe is my great aunt Margie, so Margie's pickles we call them. So a very nice dill pickle recipe that every year we'd have cucumbers in our garden, would help her can them, and my favorite pickle I would enjoy. So we wanted to share our family recipe with you, but create a simpler refrigerator version. So I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but there's refrigerator pickles and standard pickles. So you need to have a bit more equipment. Like, it's a big, you need a big pot of water, and you actually submerge the jar filled with pickles so it can seal with the lid. So that's how you have the canned item, because it's sealed and it doesn't let any air or bacteria in, so canned items can last for many, many years. But that can take a lot of equipment, not everybody might have. So we wanted to create Margie's pickles recipe, but an easy refrigerator recipe. So all you have to do is you take your jar, you pack in your cucumbers, some garlic, some onions, some dill, and the pickling liquid, and you boil it and you pour it in and you let it sit for 24 hours, and then you can refrigerate it and enjoy for several months. So we created many versions of that recipe that you could enjoy.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like this recipe for the homemade pickle is really amazing, which is why you love it so much and you create a character and a story for it. That's really make me interested in this whole idea of the cookbook. And if anybody curious and want to try this recipe, I really highly recommend you get the cookbook, because the pickle recipe will be in there, and you will get to taste that amazing taste of your aunt pickles. So.
Yeah, and so after developing adult allergies and realizing that yellow dye was in a lot of food, it's in pickles. I was like, what? To make it look like the bright green, right? To make it look more appealing. But homemade canned pickles are pale, hence the name of the Pale Pickle. So you should probably share where that came from. I'm like, yeah, Margie's homemade pickles are pale. They're not bright green. They add yellow dye to enhance the green color. I have seen some organic companies add turmeric, which is a bright, yellow color. So that is a healthy alternative to give that bright color. But honestly, if they're homemade pickles, they're going to be pale. But they'll taste amazing, I promise you.
Yes, yeah.
Another recipe I should mention is the cheeseburger pie. So a fun backstory about that. So I got this ABC children's cookbook when I was very young, probably still in the single digits. And it was, recipes I could make for family, and one was a cheeseburger pie recipe. But it's since been many forms of it. And when researching for this book, I created this recipe probably 10 plus times in a month. I'm not even joking. My family is probably sick of cheeseburger pie. But I wanted to create a healthier version of it. So originally it was made with, gluten and wheat in the crust, beef, real cheese. But not everybody may want to eat that way. So if you can, that's fine. But I wanted to create a plant-based, gluten-free, very allergy-friendly version of it. So a gluten-free crust recipe is there for you to enjoy. Which is really nice, flaky crust. There's no gluten in it, no egg, it's vegan as well. And the cheeseburger pie recipe you can actually make two ways. You can make it with lentils if you want, with nice spices to imitate kind of like that meatier flavor. Or you can use a store-bought meat-free alternative, like a vegan ground they'd call it, or a meatless ground. And add in pickles and dairy-free cheese. So it's really a yummy recipe. And I know I brought you a pie for your health.
I was very fortunate to actually, try one of your version of the cheeseburger pie, and my husband, I love it. Like we finished it in just like a couple of days, and you can. It's really, there's no difference between a vegan and gluten-free cheeseburger pie with the cheeseburger pie that you will make with like meat and everything. There's totally no different at all, and it's delicious. So I would really recommend you get a cookbook and try the recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of fun recipes in there. A fun take on fries made of pickles called frickles. I thought is a fun. Kids might have fun doing that. And making tater tots. So a really fun thing I enjoy doing is sneaking vegetables into food. So to get more and more in for kids, but actually cooking with cucumbers, it can be really amazing because we have a great brownie recipe in there that makes it really moist and yummy and adds an extra vitamins, and a tater tot recipe with cucumbers. It's really, really fun, tasty, and we wanted to show you many healthy ways to cook with healthily homemade pickles. You can make your own jars of pickles and chop them up and add them to cheeseburger pie and fresh cucumbers. So yeah, and we all hope that you compost too, the peelings when you're done, and we do include some of that in the children's book. Yeah, and right now we have the children's book and the paired cookbook, and we really hope that there might be some other fun things in the pipeline too.
When reading Stephanie's story about this whole idea of creating an environmental friendly book, I was very intrigued by the idea, and I was like, yeah, let's start doing this together. And we came a long way, and finally we was able to find a printer that actually helping bring our idea to life, and not just any kind of printer, but the kind of printer that will bring the idea of eco-friendly books to life.
Yeah, it evolved from creating a lot of ebooks and recipe books for families, for couples, for kids that were healthy, plant-based, very allergy-friendly, and learning that fake diets found foods can actually trigger behavioral issues in children. So I had a cousin of mine actually with ADHD, and I worked with them. We did some cooking together to create some healthy recipes for them, and then getting more and more into sustainability, realizing it's not just what you eat, it's how you print things, how you make things. So the cradle to cradle concept is the full life cycle. A lot of production today is linear. You create the item, when it's done it's trash, but the cradle to cradle concept is a full life cycle. So when you start to create a product, you have the vision in mind that it doesn't create any pollutants for the planet or for yourself, where you create it in a manner that you produce it, and then when you're done using it, or it falls apart or something. I hope they don't, but but if the product is created where you make it, and then when you're done using it, maybe you give the book to a friend, maybe 20 years from now it breaks or something, you can compost it, and it's made of healthy materials that will not pollute the earth. So that's the concept of the full life cycle. So we thought we have to practice what we preach, and
It was such a great experience to work on this children's book, and being able to work with Stephanie. I think we have a really good experience working together, very good collaboration, and you know the fact that we just keep passing ideas to each other make the book way better than I was expected from the beginning.
I think so too. It evolved into something much different. And we're very excited to share it with all of you to make it come to life in a very sustainable manner that is healthy for all of you, for your kids, your families to enjoy, and these great recipes that are allergy-friendly and plant-based for you to try with pickles and cucumbers, so a lot of fun. And the recipes are actually throughout the storybook too, so it's really fun. You can follow along, you can cook together at home. We have some videos with some family friends that we cooked together with their kids to see how they enjoyed the recipes. So it's been really fun that it's illustrated so beautifully. And we really thank you for your time, and we hope you can help us bring this project to life, and we really would love to get this in the hands of as many children, as families as possible. So yeah, thank you everybody.